It's June 19, 2016, and we want to know, have the residents of Gotham just learned to accept their poor home city life decisions?
What happens when Lois and Clark ask their son if the cat's got his tongue?
All this and more is coming up now. It's week 3 of DC Rebirth here at DCR.
This day, we rescue a world from mysticism and tyranny, and usher in a future brighter than anything we can imagine.
Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's
Distress Citizens Radio.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the DCR. I am your host, Sean Lamont, comic book reader extraordinaire, and I am joined as always by my cohort in crime, Mr. Brian Glein. Hello, sir. How
Hey,
are
Sean.
you? Happy Father's Day to you.
Likewise.
It is that day of dads, of bat dads and super dads and dadly dads and dadpermans. And so we are going to get to talk a little bit about some comic books. We're going to steal a little bit of this time to do something that we usually do. And that is talk about the DC Rebirth, most notably week number 3 here. We've made it 3 weeks in already. 3 weeks in. Feels like it just started yesterday, but we're 3 weeks in already. Brian, why don't you tell the lovely folks the warnings of what is ahead?
We are going to be spoiling all of the comic books that came out this past week in DC's DC Rebirth line, as well as a few others at the end, I believe.
Yes, a couple things that we're being a little loosey-goosey while it's starting off so we can get
Although,
our
to be perfectly
fingerprints.
honest, there's not much spoiling going on in those.
No, it's more fingerprints and just taking a quick look at some things that we haven't been able to due to the tight scope of the show, and we have a little bit of breathing room. Not too much this week because it is Father's Day and our families have plans for us, so we're trying to squeeze this in a little bit. But if you do not want your book spoiled, if you don't want to learn about plot details, storylines, character developments, you do not want to listen to this particular episode until you have read your books. So with all of the warnings and fanfare out of the way, we're not going to dilly-dally. We're just going to jump straight into this week's books. Starting it off with Batman number 1. You very rarely get to say Batman number 1. I mean, I understand.
True.
This is like, what, the 3rd time that we've gotten to do this? So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit of fanfare, and as the internet is saying, so begins the reign of the king, since Tom King's writing it.
Oh.
But it's a normal day in Gotham City. Well, I guess night. So, because it's very rarely day in Gotham City, it seems. Or at least we just skip over those 12 hours each day.
Yeah, really.
As Commissioner Gordon is trying to fill in the Batman on some missing surface-to-air missiles that were just recently stolen from a nearby fort. And the usual operating procedure is Commissioner Gordon goes, "Hey, Batman, someone stole some missiles. You should go punch them in the face and get them back." And Batman goes, "Okay, cool." And Commissioner Gordon even tells him, "We got 2 of them already. There's just 1 left out there, so it should be an easy night for you, Batman." But the standard operating procedure goes a little haywire when someone from, it just looks like Cobra La 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 decides that they are going to shoot one of those surface-to-air missiles at a 747 flying overhead.
Yeah, doesn't it happen like as he says, "Oh, this will be easy, Batman," then all of a sudden over his shoulder you see it go flying through the sky.
He's like,
off in the distance.
Cakewalk, it's Father's Day. I know you want the day off too. You want to hang out with all those kids that you just seem to hang around with all the time. I don't really understand. I guess I get it. You're Batman. The ladies probably throw themselves at you. You got so many kids out there, but hey, whatever. I'm not going to judge. Oh crap. That plane just exploded behind me. So Batman decides to try to get Superman or Green Lantern on the phone. They're too busy fighting space monsters. We don't got time for you.
Hell, Jordan.
But he's tired of Superman always getting the iconic plane save anyway. Every single time a plane's crashing, it's Superman that comes in and flies underneath it and saves it. It's Batman's time. So straps himself into the car, calls up Duke for some badass mathematics, who does like a whole bunch of trigonometry and geometry and goes, "Okay, you want to be driving at this speed at this angle off of this route." And then Batman uses his ejector seat to fly up to the crashing plane, and then proceeds to Slim Pickens style strap some rockets under the wings, tie some strings to the flaps, and then stands on the flaming tail of the plane and goes, "Yeehaw! Here we come, everybody!" Even pulls a knife flight. Been practicing in Grand Theft Auto. Does the little sideways tilt of the plane to fly it in between some buildings. But as it's coming down, even Alfred's like, "Yeah, I know you're the Batman and all, but for you to save these people, you're going to have to stay on that plane until it makes contact, and you are just a dude standing on a plane that's crash landing into the bay. You're not walking away from this one." He's like, "Yeah, I know, I'm not walking away from this one." And they have their heart-to-heart moment where he's like, I got packages for each of the kids in the vault. Make sure they each get them. Tell Duke sorry about just signing him on as my new sidekick. Guess that was short-lived. If he wants to continue the lifestyle, he can go under Dick Grayson. He's a better Batman than I ever was anyway. He'll be completely fine with that. And I guess that's the end. So what do you think, Alfred? Do you think my parents would have been proud of what I did with my life after they died? And Alfred's doing the whole, like, holding back the tears, just going,
I don't want to bury another Batman.
Well, luckily he's crashing into the water, so
well,
it's a lot
he
easier.
wouldn't be able to bury him, yeah.
But he ends up telling him, yeah, of course your parents would have been proud. I mean, hell yeah, man, hell yeah. They would have been as proud as I've always been of you, and they have their little moment, and just as the plane's about to crash into the bay, all of a sudden it rights itself, and then just kind of slows down, and then just gently sets into the sea, and Batman's just standing on the back with his ropes, going, "Clark? Superman? Was that you?" But we find out it was not Superman. It is the newest entries into the Hall of Gotham Heroes, and that is Gotham itself, or himself, and Gotham Girl, who look like they have the default costume setting for superhero with a Gothic G on the front.
Yeah, they made their character in DCU Online. It's like we put a G inside of the Superman emblem, and yep, now we're done.
Yeah, I just kind of want to get into the gameplay here. Don't want to really deal with the costume
default
editor
costume
too much.
setting. Yeah, change some colors. Beep boop bop. There we go.
Blue and gray. There we go.
Let's go punch Egg Foo
and go. No, it's very interesting. I like the writing style, of course, of Tom King. It's again, not as heavy-handed with its themes. It's a little bit more, okay, we're going to start a story here, and we're going to go with this and see where it builds off of it. I don't think... Has it ever worked out well when another hero shows up in Gotham in a Batman book?
Probably not. No.
I mean, I'm legitimately asking.
He either like brings them into his fold and they eventually die if they're not popular enough.
Okay.
Or something goes horribly wrong. And usually when a Superman analog shows up that is not Superman in a Superman book, things don't go well.
In a Batman book, you mean?
Any book.
Pretty much, yeah. Any book.
Happens in Spider-Man, happens in Avengers, happens.
Just a Superman analog shows up, everyone's like, man. No, guys, really, I'm
unless you're
nice.
owned by another company that's owned by that company, it's not going to go well.
No, probably not.
See, also Hyperion and Majestic for those instances.
Didn't he blow up a school?
Hyperion?
Yeah.
There's like 18 Hyperions,
okay,
dude.
fair enough. Everyone blows up schools over in Marvel, it seems. It's the cool thing to do. Speedball. Yeah, he did that too. And,
Poor Speedball. It was Nitro. Speedball got blamed for it.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Poor Speedball.
So anyway, it's a good read. The art is fantastic. It's so old school Gotham, just that.
Batman's flat out riding around the animated series car, isn't he?
Yeah, pretty much, and just having a field day with
Rebirth.
it too. I enjoy
buttons.
that stuff though. It's an homage to so many different areas.
I got it back from the Green Team.
Yeah, they bought it and then crashed it into the bay, and I got it back, and it's awesome now. I retrofitted it with an ejector seat that can fly so high up there. That really is kind of an ineffective ejector seat, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really high ejector seat.
Yeah.
I understand his car's exploding all the time and he wants to get some distance, but still, to get to a plane that's up there.
You know how often he has to grab a man bat out of the middle of the air?
True.
So many man bats.
So it's a good start, I think. It's worth at least a shot. I think it's going to be a slower build for the first arc while we set the stage for where Tom King wants to take this. And usually when he turns on the jets, which is usually it seems to be around 3 seems to be where he just kind of turns everything on its head and then just goes, hit the nitro button, and then a school explodes because nitro. Yeah. But then
poor Speedball puts a bunch of spikes. Oh, gotta get my spikes back out again.
But then it seems to just take off and not look back ever. And then all the books I've read of his thus far, that seems to be his MO. So I'm curious to see if that also holds true here in Batman. So next up.
All right, Superman #1, Tomasi and Gleason.
Yes, our dream team.
Our buddies.
Yep.
So, you know how we were saying the most interesting thing about the Lois and Clark miniseries was their kid?
Yes.
Yeah, well, this is basically his book.
Yes, it is. It's kind of the Batman and Robin style, but instead it's Superman and his son on this side.
Yeah, so we start off with a brief recap about how New 52 Superman is dead and old continuity Superman is taking over thanks to the wondrous handiwork of a dome aficionado who I'm not allowed to talk about.
No.
As he goes and they finish Clark's gravesite in between his hidden gravesite in between his mother and his father.
Yes.
And as he touches the gravesite, he leaves a glowing handprint. And we are reminded that Dr. Oz told him that him and his family are not what they think they are, and that he should eat a lot of acai berries.
Okay. What is up with that? I know they like to just seed things and call it back like 20 issues from now, and all of a sudden they'll be like, hey, remember that glowing handprint? It's important now. And you're like, oh crap, I forgot all about that. Mm-hmm. But where do you think they're going with that? Is that an emergency escape hatch or
I think so.
Okay. That's kind of the feeling I got.
Superman died, and now we have several different replacement Supermen. You know, it tends to happen, doesn't it?
Well, I guess I'll wait until we get to the end. Just because of the next issue, and I was like, hey, wait a minute.
Yep. Lois and Clark are living as the Smiths on a farm in the rural district outside of Metropolis.
And as the internet says, that's entirely because Gleason wants to draw more animals.
So lightning hits their barn and burns it down, but Superman is able to save all the animals because he's Superman.
And Gleason wanted to draw some more animals.
We see all of this through John's eyes because every kid thinks his dad is Superman, but his dad actually is Superman, and it's pretty great.
It was really, really great.
Yeah. So he's going to help him rebuild the barn, but first he has to promise not to use his powers for like a full day before he can help him. He's
of course, Dad.
He's like, okay, whatever, here. Dad, yeah. So he goes off to play, and a hawk tries to swoop down and eat his cat Goldie, and so as the hawk flies off with his cherished pet cat in his talons, John gets super mad and tries to heat vision the hawk away and incinerates the hawk and his cat.
Yeah.
So just a flaming skeleton left on the ground of his cat, his beloved childhood pet. And he's super sad, but he's also super worried that he broke his promise, and Dad's going to be so mad.
Well, already someone even saw this as well.
Yes, because on top of all this is a little blonde girl that sees all this happen, and she's like, that was weird, and whoop, 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 whoops away. So later in the night, his parents think about how weird it is that they haven't seen their cat. The little blonde girl comes over to drop off a housewarming present from her dairy farm across the street, or whatever across the street equivalent is in rural towns.
Sure,
probably like 8 miles away. You know,
like, 2 cities over.
Mm-hmm. And so her name is Kathy Brandon, and oh man, Lois and Clark can't stop pestering John about how he couldn't talk when she came over. Oh. So John gets all angsty and argues with his parents about all the secrets they have to keep, and as he gets sent to his room, he looks outside the window and sees Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and he can hear them talking about how dangerous he might be.
Kind of. We're not sure.
We're not sure what it is. Yeah, there's a lot
of conversation.
Yeah. Then his dad comes up to his room, and it looks like he's going to be taken off to be trained to be a superhero.
Or are they bringing him in to test him?
Oh,
I mean, we don't know. It's all told from his angle, and as I was reading on the Reddit subboard for DC Comics, they were all just clamoring about how awesome it was that it was all told from John's point of view. So when Batman and Wonder Woman step out of the shadows, they look scary as hell. And he's just like, oh,
he's got like glowing eyes. It's like. We know what you did to your cat, John. Batman knows everything. I'm screwed.
Humane Society, and we have some complaints.
Yes.
We know Gleason likes to draw animals, but you gotta stop killing them. Again, it's such a great start. I mean, it really just hit the ground running for me. And yes, it is the Batman and Robin storytelling as far as the kid trying to be a member of the family with a superhero parent, as well as just be a kid, as well as try to find his own path out from Earth. That's a pretty long shadow cast. You have to admit, and it's going to be very difficult as he gets older with that. And I like that angle of storytelling, and I think this is going to work out really well with Superman as well. We've already been worshippers of Damian. We just love the kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a little jerk face, and we hate him, but we love him at the same time. So if we get that on Superman's side as well, before they launch the Super Sons book, where both of them palling around.
Oh God, if Damian's officially a teenager now, and John's younger than that, obviously. So it's going to be like Damian as the jerk older brother for John. Oh my God,
it's going to be great.
I had superpowers once. Here's what you do, kid.
When I had laser eyes, I did not incinerate any cats. As you can see from my bat menagerie here, all of my animals are alive and awesome. You should probably get that under control, Superboy.
Yep. Oh my God.
So it's going to be very, very fun. I enjoyed it a lot, and the creative team is basically the who's who of people we love put together yet again.
I love that they're not even credited as like writer and artist. They're just the storytellers. I love that.
Well, because they do so much artistic storytelling as well. I mean,
so much, well, plus we know Gleason knows how to write. So,
I mean,
so I'm sure
we'll even cover one of his books later. No. Next week. Next week's the final issue of Robin, Son of Batman.
Gotcha.
But he's not writing it anymore. But still, anyway.
Irregardless.
I like what they're doing, though. I like what they're doing.
Very much so.
Speaking
of things that we like what they're doing, let's go on to Green Arrow #1, Benjamin Percy and Otto Schmidt. All right, so Green Arrow and Black Canary are back. They're teaming up, and they are down at the docks, stopping some good old-fashioned human trafficking being perpetrated by noted slurb monsters, the Underground Men.
Of course.
As you do.
Of course.
They use trick arrows and fish nets, and Emiko to stop them. And Oliver realizes that they're being shipped around in a Queen Industries crate.
So Emiko, his half-sister,
yes,
that it was trained as a ninja and is our favorite character also, that we've been shipping with Damian just so we can have awkward Green Arrow and Batman dinner parties.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just to catch everyone up that's new, that's pretty much the Emiko storyline for us.
Yeah. Oliver starts bribing the crap out of policemen and dock workers to try to figure out what's going on, and Black Canary is just appalled. You're paying criminals! The prison system is broken. I'm encouraging good behavior. You can't just throw money at all your problems. How much did your record label pay to get your songs on the radio? We were top 40 on the college radio listings. It's completely different. And Emiko's just like, oh my God, will you two just get a room so I don't have to listen to and or watch this anymore?
And see.
And so they do, because they're two ridiculously attractive adults at peak physical condition, and this isn't the 50s.
Yep.
So as Oliver makes a breakfast burrito using a kick-started Keurig machine that makes gluten-free tortillas and vegetables from his recently delivered community-supported agriculture produce box, Diana gives Emiko her own personal concert in the kitchen, and she fangirls hard.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So after Oliver tries to show off how his money is helping Seattle.
Look at I built this.
Look at my homeless shelters. Look at my children's hospital. Look at my parks. Look at my battered women's shelter. And the smug
and this exotic club. I make it rain all the time.
The smug is just coming off him so hard that he is literally talking like one of those companies, one of those like commercials for a company where you're not quite sure what they do.
Yes.
It's
just a lot of smiling minorities.
Smiling people in wheat fields. It's like, what is this?
What's happening here?
Globo necks. It's like, huh? Kind of like Queen Industries itself. Yes. So Black Canary says, hey, that was fun last night, but I'm going to go split and work on my own because I don't think I could deal with this on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, you're hot. you're in good shape. Your heart's in the right place, but you are insufferable.
Yeah.
You are truly insufferable. Get that in order and clean that all up, and then maybe we could talk.
Yeah. Maybe I'll see the next Justice League mixer if they let you in. So
poor Green Arrow can never hang out with the Justice League.
Know.
It's so great that they just hate each other so much.
So Ollie broods and goes and looks through files at his company and has a meeting with one of his good friends. You know, there's this whole thing where like she's asking, "Do you have any friends?" Like, well, I've got this guy I pay, this lady I pay, and my sister who technically has to hang out with me because she was disowned by her mother.
Well,
so,
her mother died.
Well, yeah.
Technically.
Well, yes.
And
I thought she said "screw you" to mom at the end of the guild
I guess
thing.
So. Yeah, it was a fake out death right before that, and then
Gotcha.
she came back in.
Yeah,
that's right. You are correct.
Yes. So he goes and sees Queen Industries CEO Broderick. Last name I do not remember or was not mentioned.
He's popped in a couple times.
Okay, so he's from the previous.
run.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah. So
back when he was running around with majorettes on roller skates and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So. Boo Green Arrow. All right, so Brody explains all the reasons why they have shell companies and offshore holdings and secret cult basements, and says it's all on the up and up. And as soon as he leaves, Broderick makes the call and there's ominous red lighting behind him saying, "We gotta take out Oliver Queen."
Do you think that's just part of the speed dial? Like when he hits the button, the lighting shifts to like the
exactly.
ominous red. And
Well, it's all those cell phone things that he can change the lights with his cell phone.
okay, so it's just a filter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's got his Oliver makes him use LED lights, so So after he gets the ominous red lighting, he takes an ominously shaped key out of his ominous tarantula cage and unlocks the drawer of his ominous IKEA desk. And inside of it is the creepy red triangle skull mask from the Green Arrow Rebirth issue. And Ollie's been funding human trafficking by being a crappy business owner.
Yeah.
So Oliver
You
goes.
should throw some money at it.
Yes.
Why doesn't he just have money arrows that he
I know,
shoots all
right?
over the-
Restart the green team. So Oliver goes home and is suddenly assaulted by Shadow, his kind of stepmom / ninja archer assassin.
Yeah, I guess that's a good definition.
Yeah, and as she fills him up with, she just fills him up with arrows, those good old fashioned, arrow
No
style.
money arrows.
No vital organs, but there's just arrows sticking out of him everywhere. And Emiko shows up. He's like, "Emiko, go, get out, get help!" And then she shoots an arrow into his back and asks her mother what took her so long to get there. Emmy, no.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. Oliver has been a little insufferable.
Yes.
Maybe she's just tired of all the tofu, whole grain, wheat, grass, pancakes that she has to eat every single day. And she just wants to have a hamburger for once. I just want to eat a hamburger, Ollie.
Yes. Next issue, Death of Green Arrow. He used to be a hero until he took an arrow in the every part of his body.
I hate heel turn Emmy.
Yeah.
I hate heel turn Emmy, but I think it's bigger than that. I don't think this is a
Yeah.
write her out of the series thing. Maybe she just saw Ollie was so full of arrows that she just made a tactical decision of, I'll just sign on with my moms for a bit here and sort this out to get him out of this situation. I'm hoping it's not write Emmy out of the book.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Because I like her.
Yeah.
I do. And
they built, this one issue, they built her up so hard as being awesome and like his only friend. And it's like, oh, gotta take you to the bottom, Ollie, before we can bring it back, I suppose.
I do have to ask, the ominous keychain and the ominous tarantula terrarium that he keeps in his ominous office, did it have a spirally kind of look to you?
It did, didn't it?
It had kind of a Vertigo style look, maybe. I know he's all big on the spirals, so maybe Vertigo is coming in on this, Count Vertigo, and we'll see how he's involved somehow.
Mayhaps.
Again, that's a very far reach just because of a spiral pattern on it, but
there's also spirals.
yeah, well, yes, but little things.
Yes,
little things. We did skip over. Do you like the way they're doing it though?
Oh God, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's perfectly great storytelling.
It's like the best looking book on the market right now.
I do like the
the
fact
storytelling is great.
I do like the fact that we can divorce turns in story that we don't like from the actual storytelling itself.
Mm-hmm.
We can fully not appreciate the fact that one of our favorite characters is turned heel, but at the same time, the way they're telling the story is absolutely fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can't
criticize that whatsoever. So I mean, even if you are Emmy super fans like us, you can also at least enjoy the ride.
Leave Benjamin Percy alone.
We did skip over it though because we jumped over to Green Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
The end of Superman, where after they came in and grabbed the kid and flew off with them to teach him everything. Did you see what the next issue was titled?
I forget off the top of my head now.
The Eradicator?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that was kind of leaning into your whole, hey, there seems to be a lot of Supermen showing up after Superman has died and people don't know who you are.
I still hope it's Supergirl's ship, but, I know that's...
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. The
Supergirl had the Eradicator in her ship, and she...
As the AI.
And it completely got swept under the rug as soon as that writer left, and it was very sad.
The GLaDOS-style AI that just kept trying to lead her to her doom. Just follow the blue lights to the incinerator. It will be fine. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we got that in because that was pretty fitting for what we were talking about at the beginning of Superman as well. Green Arrow, good. Superman, really good. Really, really, really good. And Batman off to a good start as well. What about Green Lanterns? I mean, they're actual new characters here. We're dealing with some newbies, some new people who are donning the rings and learning their way around the galaxy. Well, more Earth because they're rookies. And that is Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz, who are on their first mission as Earth-born rookies of the Green Lanterns.
Space cops.
Yeah, they're space cops, but their beat is Earth. Yeah, their beat is Earth, and they're off on their first mission because the rings have said, hey, there's an unauthorized alien presence on Earth. You guys should go take care of it. And Jessica's, of course, a bit terrified because she's in over her head. And Simon, meanwhile, is a bit resentful that he's still being lumped in with the newbies after having I went to the universe before this one existed and fought some space gods and pushed the last city of civilization through a portal and survived all that. But just a rookie, guys. Just a rookie here. But both of them, though, end up surprised when they arrive where the beacon was saying the unauthorized alien is, and they find some tweaker in a homemade Red Lanterns t-shirt with a shotgun screaming about how he was promised a red ring. I was promised a ring! And they end up taking him out with relative ease, and they're just kind of like, well, that was weird. He doesn't look like an alien, though. And that's when they go down the basement and find a giant sacrificial pit full of humans as well as one alien that was being bled out into some sort of pool of blood that, like, you could make a blood pool of some sort. Like they were making a pool of blood.
Yes.
And he starts screaming about how he was promised a ring because as long as he protected the tower, and that he gets hauled off because Argus shows up to claim, hey, this is our scene, cops, get out of here. They're coming back. And tempers start to flare as they start arguing over jurisdiction. You can't have space cops or any type of cops without jurisdiction arguments.
I kind of love that. I don't think we've ever gotten that in a Green Lantern book before.
I think I've seen it before in the pre-New 52 stuff where they've done that type of stuff before. But jurisdiction arguments, I'm all about where people start arguing. And the tempers really flare when all of a sudden everyone starts going in rage mode and screaming and punching each other. And it causes this feedback in the building where the sacrificial blood pit was that causes this big explosion of light, showing a giant H.R. Geiger, whatever, hell tower with blood spewing off of it all over the place, and just everything turns red, and it's just made of sinew and bone, and everyone's like, that wasn't there just a minute ago. I'm fairly certain. I know I'm not a space detective, I'm a space cop, but I did not see that a moment ago. And everyone kind of goes, well, it's not your problem anymore, it's Argus's problem, we're gonna deal with this. And the two Green Lanterns kind of fly off their separate way. And everyone's kind of like, what the hell just happened? And we cut off to space where Atrocitus, the big, scary, mean guy of the Red Lanterns, the leader of the Rage Lanterns, is threatening Bleeze, his second lieutenant, and beating her up because she was supposed to keep the Hell Tower a secret because, and get this, Brian, Guy Gardner screwed up the Red Lanterns. They're about to die because they're not rage mode anymore. They're just all like kind of being friendly with each other and hanging out and drinking beers. And no, we spew blood. We go rar, glar, glar, and we are rage monsters. And Guy Gardner messed it up. This is our last chance. If this Hell Tower does not produce a rage seed, we're done. We're all going to die because we're all hanging out and having beers and being best buddies and not being mad anymore. So I hope you're happy with yourself, please. But you better make sure that Hell Tower does not get taken down before it gives us a rage seed. And she's like, okay, boss. I got it. I'll take care of it. And as we see back on Earth, this Hell Tower seems to be having some bad ramifications on the planet as these like rage mobs keep flaring up all over the place, like around Jessica while she's at the grocery store, and Simon Baz is starting to get extra angry all the time, and he ends up learning.
Oh, good, the agoraphobe is stuck in a place with a mob breaking in.
Yeah, that's gonna work out awesomely. But we find out Simon Baz has the Emerald Sight. It's another filter, much like the red filter, but greenish in this case. He can kind of see things that are happening. It's weird. They don't really give an explanation for it. It's just kind of he has the Emerald Sight, and Atrocitus sees that and goes, well, he's important. These two are part of the prophecy of making the Rage Seed because they have so much rage within them. They will end up fighting. One will live, one will die, and that will be the Red Dawn. And go Wolverines. And that's where it kind of leaves off from there. I like the characters. I kind of like that they are calling back to Guy Gardner screwing up the entire, I guess, mythology of the Red Lanterns and then just ruining everything about how they can exist in this greater universe. Yeah. For a great story, don't get me wrong. It's one of my personal faves, but at the same time, it does kind of mess up their role in the universe, and they're kind of calling back to that. And I don't know if it's a good starting villain though. I guess maybe because it'll be a morally...
Going too big?
I think it's going to be a morally gray thing. And they both do have rage issues, for obvious reasons. But at the same time, I think it is too big of a start for these two.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion, again. And I'll wait until the arc's done to see how they handle it. Because it could just be a less punchy thing and more of a, look, they've helped us out in the past. The rage is something that does need to exist. Sometimes the universe isn't cool, and sometimes revenge is on the plate. But are we big enough space cops to say that we should eliminate this from the spectrum, or et cetera, et cetera? I mean, there's a lot of angles they could take it, and I'll wait until they finish the arc to see that. But again, I really like the characters, and how they interact is fun. And we got jurisdiction arguments, so I can't complain about that. Great ideas. We'll see if it was too big to start off with, I guess, in the long run. Yeah. Go from there. Do we have anything else this half?
You've got Titans Rebirth.
That's right. Our one Rebirth book. I pulled it away from you because you had some other stuff we're going to talk about later. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Cool. I know how much you love Wally. And that's what we're talking about here, because as we saw at the end of the Flash Rebirth issue, Wally West, after being spurned by everyone he loved, who did not remember him because he was being kept outside the timeline. We went over this 2 weeks ago, if you don't know. He's decided to go find all of his friends from the Titans so he can be spurned by them as well and be absolutely heartbroken. So he breaks into their apartment where they're all staying after the Titans Hunt miniseries. And Dick Grayson ends up finding him, and they don't remember, or he doesn't remember Wally West until he finally grabs him, and sparks fly as he grabs him. It's the Speed Force giving him back at least some memories. In this case, it's the memory of when Dick Grayson and Wally West borrowed the Batmobile for a night of joyriding. And all of a sudden, Dick Grayson's like, holy crap, Wally West! And he just kind of falls to the ground because all the memories are rushing back. But the rest of the Titans come in and just see this stranger standing there with Dick Grayson kind of clutching his head on the ground and go, bad guy! And start attacking him as Wally goes, whoop, 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 and runs around the apartment. Until finally, each one of them gets their mitts on him as he stops running and figures out that as each one of them touch him, they get their memory back, and he goes, oh, okay, and he just kind of starts chasing after them, hugging them and stuff, and we get a bunch of little flashback scenes, basically introductions for the characters themselves, as Arsenal remembers the crappy apartment that they used to share drinking beers in, and he and Wally, and it's all like, oh wow, I remember this guy, he's awesome. And Donna remembers Wally, Arsenal of course being Green Arrow's ex-sidekick, the Red Arrow, etc., who had a little bit of an alcoholism issue and has since gone on the straight and narrow a little bit. Donna Troy, not going to give you a backstory because I don't know what it is at the moment. Another Wonder Woman type person, used to be like a Wonder Girl style person, now her own person. Donna Troy grabs Wally and remembers the two of them, Wally teaching her how to play practical jokes on Nightwing. And when Nightwing gets mad, you just say, it was just a social experiment, bro. It was just a social experiment. And then Lilith remembers, who's the psychic of the team. She remembers a budding relationship between the two, where they were making out on a couch and
we both got red hair. Let's do this thing.
Were they an item in the past? Or?
I do not remember Lilith at all. She was way before my time. Okay, so I could not tell you.
Fair enough. I was just curious because of the whole Linda Park thing, where he's already tried to meet his wife and she didn't remember him, and that's gotta be really awkward if those memories come back at some, like if he hooks up with Lilith and then just kind of meets Linda and shakes her hand and she remembers being his wife while he's hooked up with someone else. Yeah. That's a really awkward set of events right there. And then Garth, as we know him, Aqualad, or as many people know him as Aqualad.
Or Tempest.
Yeah, or Tempest. Grabs him and remembers the time when he had doubts of staying on land, and Wally was like, man, you got buddies, you're cool, you're an awesome guy, we like you, and everyone's just kind of like, whoa, it's hugs all around as everyone remembers Wally West, and oh my god, how could we forget you? How could this even happen? And Wally wheels out the clear drawing whiteboard and goes, well, you see, I was outside of time here, and then someone reset the timeline while I was outside of it so I could see in, and then recently something broke down, so I was able to come back into the timeline, and now somehow, because Speed Force, you guys are able to remember me from that timeline.
Have we figured out how the speed? Have we figured out how the Speed Force works yet? We're not allowed to.
We're still cones, buddy. Cones. Respect the cones. And it ends up just being everyone going, okay, well, that sucks. That's weird. We lost 10 years, but somehow we can remember those 10 years that we lost. But the worst part is I think someone's going to try to do it again and soon. But now the Titans remember and the Titans are together. So we're going to figure this out together. And it was all like, yeah, freeze frame, jump up in the air, high fives, everybody. Again, it was a very happy issue. You could very easily see this going south, and even Jeff Johns was saying about how when they were pitching this whole big thing where he was like, no, I don't want it to be the depressing. He's not going to, well, he can't allow anyone to feel bad that they forgot about their best friend for all these years. Just because reality was overwritten and wiped out, you guys all forget about your bro Wally. Instead, it's this joyous thing, and all their memories even are the stupid little fun things that they used to do, and it's a happy, momentous occasion, and that's a good springboard for a Titan series, with all of these. It's really is the Teen Titans team that a lot of people know. As far as the old school team, I mean, Lilith
the old comics team,
I mean, even Young Justice had a lot of these characters together as well.
Yeah, Lilith was such a non-entity when I was reading comics as a young lad.
Was she just out of the picture by that point?
Out of the picture, I guess. Someone got bored with her.
She started a fair in the 90s and then was just running around with that.
Yeah.
Sarah McLachlan hanging out with her all the time. Alanis Morissette. Tori Amos, and who else was on those all the time? Kitty, maybe? I don't remember who all was on that one. I don't know. But she started a fair, and it was awesome, and she was making some money. Now she's back.
Anne E. DeFranco and Anne E. Deschamps? I don't know.
Great start, though, I think. For a bunch of characters that have been in very different toned books of late. I mean, Donna Troy was just quote-unquote born in Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Arsenal's been running around with Red Hood with the crazy dude bro adventures of an early 20-something. Who else do we have here? Garth has been, what is he? His title? The communications expert of a embassy of Atlantis.
He's like that guy that guy they send off to like take notes or whatever on Veep.
He's public relations for Atlantis in Aquaman. I mean, they have had some very odd roles to play in the DCU that are now being pulled onto a team. And Dick Grayson was quote unquote dead and became a super spy, awesome James Bond guy. So not much really changed for Dick Grayson, really, at the big picture. So great start. I'm looking forward to it. I was a little wary about this one. The Titans Hunt stuff was just so deep dives that I was just afraid that I was going to read this and
you
be
notice there's no Gnark or Hawk and Dove or some of those other characters in this book.
I was just worried. I was legitimately worried that it was just going to be this is for the people, this is for all you old school fans out there, and I was just going to be left behind entirely, and they didn't do that at all. This is a great little intro thing, and everyone's happy, and it's an optimistic launch into an actual storyline with a bunch of characters. So, yay!
Woo.
Good job, everybody. Next up, and that's it for this half, I guess.
Yep.
So, Brian, what do you have coming up for round 2? That was it for all of the new Rebirth titles. I'm trying to keep them all in the front half, and then everything that is not Rebirth, like either cleaning up old stuff or out of this line of books stuff, is in the second half, and we'll continue that until we clean everything up. So, round 2, what do you got, Brian?
Okay, I've got a slight Titans tie-in with Justice League 51,
Yes, you do.
and I'm just touching base with Gotham Academy, Lumberjanes, and Scooby Apocalypse.
Yeah, I just want to hear what you think, buddy. I just want to hear what you think. And then I got new Suicide Squad, the Newicide Squad. They're wrapping up their adventures with DeFauster Kane before they relaunch for a movie of some... I don't know what they're doing. And then last but not least, I'm going to quickly touch on the last of the Swamp Thing miniseries that finished up this month as well. So hold on a couple seconds. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will run through those books.
And we're back.
That we are ready for some more comic bookery.
Yes.
Oh, good. Well,
Yes.
I guess we came to the right place then.
Exactly.
We're sitting down in front of these microphones and you could talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to talk about IDW's Transformers series?
No.
We're not casting the net that wide?
No.
All right, fine.
Maybe when they come out with the Mobile Armored Strike Command book.
Yeah.
Which is an actual thing that's happening.
Crusaders working overtime, fighting crime.
Fighting crime! Lasers and wireframes. Da, 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 da.
Are they going to do a Jason the Wheeled Warriors as well?
No, if only. I'm sure if Mask is successful, we
Do
got
some Dino Saucers. And,
Dino Saucers. Yep, I'm sure that's an easy sell. I'm amazed
That
that,
really
one
is
had,
an easy
I honestly
sell.
would have put that ahead of Mobile Armored Strike Command. So.
I don't know. I think Mask has enough characters
Yeah, I
that you could
suppose.
probably build off of it. But
Yeah.
Dino Saucers, you kind of always have to fight against T-Rex and everything. Where's the fun in that? Who likes fighting T-Rexes and giant dinosaur robot
yeah.
suits and spaceships?
Yeah.
Nobody likes that.
That was supposed to be Jurassic Park 4.
Oh, was it?
Like humanoid robots that were or like engineered by the government.
Yeah. Would have been an awesome setup if then they put them in spaceships and shot them off and Dino Saucers.
My son actually found all my old Mask figures at my mom's house.
Yeah?
Yeah, and my mom was horrified
Did you
by
still have the masks?
Yes.
Oh, really?
That's-
Wow.
They had a separate like old lunchbox that they were all put into apart from the vehicles.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
my mother was horrified that I remembered all of their names. I was horrified that I remembered all their names.
Yeah,
Mind you, how do you forget a name like Calhoun Burns?
Well,
But still.
At the same time, those 80s cartoons were pretty, and even the early 90s ones were commercials. I mean,
Yeah,
they were
mhm.
legitimately commercial. All right, let's
Sorry,
get back
we're
on
talking
track.
about Justice League number 51 by Dan Abnett and Paul Pelletier.
It was kind of a wrapping up old stuff, but at the same time,
Plus-
it's kind of a springboard as well.
Justice League had some delay issues, and it seems like the 51 and 52 got released as specials at one point or another, so they could finish up Darkseid War on time.
Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of. It was supposed to be 52 is the aftermath of Darkseid War. 51 was supposed to be the aftermath of Darkseid War, and then this one was supposed to be the springboard into Rebirth, the last one, but that one wasn't ready in time, so they just did this one as a filler.
Yeah.
Plus, Rebirth has already started. You probably want to get that springboard in
Yeah.
before it's done doing its launch stuff. It makes some
So
sense.
here's this fun Titan side issue. So in the anomalous 5 years ago, which really should be like 6 or 7 years at the very least by
at
this
the
point.
beginning
but
of the New 52.
At the beginning of the New 52, the Justice League defeated Darkseid. You can see the better version of it in the Justice League War cartoon if you want something really
If you want to
fast.
see Green Lantern just be awesome and
Yep.
take on all the parademons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so 6 months later, after 5 years ago, Batman introduces Dick Grayson in his 1-year Robin internship, or whatever they're calling it now, to the League to help out with their current crisis. Lowercase c on that crisis.
Yes.
It's like a minor thing. It's more of a kerfluffle, but that sounds weird. So it's a crisis, quotation fingers.
It's not an infinite crisis or a crisis on infinite Earths. Definitely not the final crisis.
It's a very finite crisis right now. A bunch of weird stuff is happening all over the world, and then all of a sudden Superman is suddenly attacked by cyborg wolves, and the rest of the League has to jump in to help. So they fight some techno loops, then suddenly Mammoth, the Teen Titans villain, appears. Then a Brainiac guy from Kolu shows up. What's going on? As Robin darts away from the danger, he surmises that all of these threats are unrelated, they just happen to show up at the same time. So everyone works together and realizes that they made a goof when they pushed Darkseid through a portal and shut down all the boom tubes and made this particular point on Earth Prime weak to, like, space-time abnormalities.
So stuff's coming over from the bleed, which is a thing, right?
Maybe. They don't use those terms specifically.
They
but
use the term bleed.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
Okay.
Cyborg says everything's coming in from the bleed, the
all right.
interdimensional stopgap space or whatever.
Stormwatch references. Num, num, num. So they figure out how to fix their mistake and send everyone back.
That was their wall between different realities, right? The bleed. That was like,
it was actually came over from
universe exists, the Doctor Who universe exists, the Transformers and Dino Saucers exist, but it's all separated by the bleed, essentially.
Yeah,
so
then that was how they. I mean, it was like a specifically like a Wildstorm idea, and then when Wildstorm started crossing over with DC occasionally, they just pulled that into the DC universe as well.
Gotcha.
And this entire time, while this was happening, there was this creepy, shadowy figure that wanted to claw his way onto Earth Prime and use superheroes to power himself. But seeing how powerful the League was, he decides that he wants to set his sight on a more attainable target. Robin, Dick Grayson, dun dun dun.
And he'll use him to gain a foothold into our area.
Yes.
Or onto Prime Earth, at least. And it's a whole thing of is the Titans Rebirth stuff basically part of his plan as far as allowing Wally out, or was Wally a unexpected plan, or a kink into that whole thing?
Yeah, I wonder if this guy may have been this might have been who Mr. Twister, like he got pulled into a portal by some unknowable, horrible Lovecraftian thing at the end of the
this
series.
Could be the Mr. Oz that Superman's dealing with, that keeps telling him about how he's not who he thinks he is. I mean, there's a lot of different angles they can play with this, and it's kind of a nice little, okay, we have an overarching story that we're going to be telling over the next, 2 years probably, and this is probably going to be your big bad at the end. So remember this guy in the shadows. He's important, everybody.
Yes.
He's important.
Right. So send you on to another Justice League.
No, actually, it looks like it got delayed. I did not see it anywhere.
No.
It wasn't in the shop, and I checked the Comixology as well, and it was not there. So
okay.
I went, okay, I guess it got delayed. It was supposed to be JLA number 9 or 8, but no dice. So I'm gonna
par for the course.
Do New Suicide
All
Squad.
Right.
Again, Justice League, awesome.
Yeah.
Little one shot, kind of a setup.
Oh, and
thing.
we got Jerkel Jordan there.
Yeah, you did.
Clowning on Batman for having a sidekick and warning people not to hang out with Constantine. I want to read that story now.
That was the best thing, where it was so this is magic stuff. We should just call Zatanna or that British dude.
Like, no, you don't call that British dude.
You just have a memory gap, a faint feeling of an unknowable shame.
And you smell like cigarettes. It's not cool, dude.
I was like, that's probably the best pitch for a Constantine
I know, right?
ever, right there.
It's the poor Kyle Rayner Hitman team up all over again.
I thought that was great. There was a lot of levity in this issue of Justice League, and it made me laugh quite a bit. Again, Abnett, go Warhammer. So I've been liking what he's been doing of late. I mean, I know I'm a little biased because I've read his novel stuff and like the style of stuff he was doing there, but I think he might have a future in this comics thing.
He might.
Yes, I am aware he was doing the comics thing a long time ago. I'm just being snarky. Next up, new Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad are dealing with Defauster Kane. You guys remember Defauster Kane, right? The German nihilists that award points for murders?
They murder people for points.
Yes, for points, and they believe that the Earth is overpopulated and needs to be culled, and that's how it will become better, by just killing off whoever is weak. And so they even have a Defauster Kane app that they keep track of their points with, and they compete with one another. And
gotta get on that leader point for Defauster Kane bucks.
yes, you could actually trade it in, get your Xbox Live, pay with that using your Defauster Kane points. It's great. I mean, oh man, I never leave home without my Defauster Kane app. Let me tell you. Anyway, this time the Suicide Squad, Deadshot, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Diablo, and Cheetah. I mean, she's not in the movie, so she should be fine. They have found themselves in an old World War II German castle because Harley Quinn tried to get them to escape from the government's control and accidentally led them into this, basically Thunderdome where the Defauster Kane are all trying to kill them for points. And basically it was a net for them to catch Amanda Waller because they think that she's ruining all the people that go out and murder people by making them work for the government. So they end up capturing, Amanda Waller, and then it just becomes kind of well, we want to kill Amanda Waller. No, we want to kill Amanda Waller. Both sides want to kill Amanda Waller, and the Suicide Squad are basically just kind of standing there going, well, we're not going to stop you from killing Amanda Waller until Defauster Kane decide they're going to use the bombs placed in their heads to detonate the Suicide Squad and use that to kill Amanda Waller. And that's when they go, nope, now we object. We object. And they end up fighting their way out using do you remember the British mercenary team that was there with them?
Oh, like the janky British heroes?
Yeah, the analogs of all their characters, but British, essentially. Okay. The janky British Deadshot ends up getting killed, and then his power was, remember, remember his power is he can make guns out of anything, and that's why they were like the best friends ever. He dies turning the castle into a giant gun to kill everyone inside. And even he's sitting there and he's like, people won't know me, but they'll remember this. This is my legacy right here. I turned a castle into a giant gun to kill all of Defauster Kane. Woo! Going out with style, everybody. And even Deadshot's like, man, I don't know how I'm going to top that. I could probably just hang out here. This is a pretty cool way to die. And that's when Boomerang throws a boomerang around him with a line because he was shooting up the Fulton extraction to get them out of there. And as the boomerang wraps around, it like stops in front of him as the line wraps around him. And it just says, "You owe me," as he gets yanked out of the castle and pulled up. So those two are still being tools together. And they return back home. Everything's back to normal, back at Belle Reve prison. The weird British guy that was actually a villain that was working with the bad guys, with Defauster Kane. Remember that was that whole side story going on. He's just disappeared. Oh, sorry, Britain, we don't know where your agent went. He sacrificed himself to save everybody, so he's super cool. I'm sure he's not in a prison cell. Who was his name? The Hunky whatever? I don't remember.
Hunky Punk?
What's that?
Hunky Punk? Hunky Punk?
Yeah, that's what it was. Well, I'm sure he's part of their collection of prisoners now. And France instead has sent their emissary to start a Suicide Squad type program in France. So I guess we'll do that instead now. The evil baguette has attacked.
Oh, no.
I like France. I just came back from there. It was nice. It was very nice.
They are trying to release the day the clown cried. We cannot allow this to happen.
But elsewhere, we have the whole storyline with Deadshot and Harley Quinn. They're having their heart-to-heart where Harley screwed up and almost got them killed, and Deadshot almost died again, and Harley feels bad. And she's like, yeah, I would normally talk to myself and tell myself I'm awesome, but I'm not allowed to talk to myself anymore. Amanda Waller won't let me. So Deadshot's just sitting there like, fine. Harley Quinn.
Here's something for you, Harley Quinn. I got you on CD, the Wayne's World soundtrack. This will serve you very well in the future.
Yes. You could possibly cut all of the trailers of maybe any upcoming movies using this soundtrack, and people will love you for it. But there is a great moment where it's Deadshot just standing there going, fine, I'll give you a pick-me-up. Harley Quinn, you're not that bad. You like the color red. I do too. I guess you're okay. The end. And it ends with Harley saying, okay, so for my next plan for escape, and him just face palming and going, here we go again. There was a side story though. Diablo. Do you remember the whole, Rose Tattoo? That whole thing with the Wildstorm character, Rose Tattoo.
Huh.
That was the spirit of murder and everything.
Okay.
There was that whole side story. Turns out she's one of the demons sent to haunt Diablo to claim his soul for the evils he has committed. And he ends up taking her back to hell with him because he thinks that he'll be able to leave by the grace of God because he's found religion and everything like that. And he opens a portal to hell and drags her back with him. And I'm like, well, that's an interesting take on this character that I wasn't expecting. As far as like, I'm flamey dude. I shoot fire all over. Okay, well now you have piqued my interest a little bit. You're a guy that controls hellfire that has the demons of hell chasing after him to claim his soul and is fighting those as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on
That's
board with
interesting,
this. Yeah. So that paid off at least. So
yeah.
For people that were like, they've been dropping so many hints of Rose Tattoo showing up, she better show up. And she does. She does.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's very interesting. I thought at least.
Rose Tattoo is a horrible name.
What's that? It is a pretty bad name, but whatever. Whatever. Next up for me, though, Swamp Thing, number 6 of 6. It's the mini that was done by Len Wein, the creator of Swamp Thing, who went, you know what? Let me get another round with that guy. I kind of like that guy I made. And it's been this old school 70s style horror comic of just bad stuff happening all the time, and Swamp Thing trading his body into one of his quote unquote friends who wanted to give him a break from being Swamp Thing. But it turns out, as we find out in this issue, that person wasn't his friend. It was actually Anton Arcane inhabiting his body that is now inhabiting the body of Swamp Thing and trying to conquer the entire world. And so Alec Holland, the original Swamp Thing, goes and gathers up his friends, the Phantom Stranger, the Spectre, and Zatanna, and they just kind of do the little swapperoo back so that he can get his body back. It's actually a pretty great scene where they hold up the Hand of Fatima, the little MacGuffin that they use to swap bodies, and Anton Arcane goes, "Ha! It would take an act of God for that to work again." And the Spectre just goes, "Did somebody say act of God?"
Hey, guys!
And everyone's like, "Oh, God, Spectre, you are the worst sometimes. Your showmanship needs some work. It needs a little work." But he ends up getting the power of Swamp Thing back and then just kind of walks off back into the swamp to be the protector of everybody, even though everybody hates him.
No.
They sigh. It really captured that old school horror comic vibe and was a nice little I guess palate cleanser for Swamp Thing, because he's had some weird adventures in the New 52, so to have him it brought back all of his friends, all of his enemies, and gave them at least some interactions, and then just reset him as I live in the swamp, people are afraid of me, this is why, and I just protect the earth from there. So it was a reset button as well as a fun little 70s romp, and I think it was good. It's obviously aimed at a certain clientele, as most of the DCU stuff was. If that scratches an itch that you're looking for, like a EC Comics style horror thing, there you go. That'll definitely scratch that itch. If you're looking for a more modern, if you're looking for long impact modern stories, does it matter? Does it count? Probably not so much, but it was still a good read. Now I'll say that much. So let's leave behind just DC. Because
we're going out into the wilds.
Yeah,
the wilds of the comic shop.
We're traveling into unknown territories for us. This is well, it's kind of known to us, but we don't really talk about it. It's just kind of like the weird outside world that weird things happen. Speedball gets blamed for stuff all the time. That's all I know, and it's just out there and things happen. So what are you doing?
So Gotham Academy Lumberjanes.
It came out last week.
It's
sold out in my LCS. I don't know about yours.
Likewise,
but it just disappeared, and I didn't even know it came out that week until everyone online was like, "Hey guys, this came out too." And it was like, "Oh yeah, thanks, man. I did not know that."
Thanks to the wonders of Comixology, and also probably the way most people read Lumberjanes these days.
Oh, digital?
Yeah, I mean, apparently it's huge digital.
Oh, is it really? Good.
And plus, on top of that, it's hard to find it in comic shops because people get it and they buy it.
Oh, well,
So,
yeah, I guess I could see that because it just didn't exist.
yes.
I knew of it, and I've yet to see an issue of it anywhere. I take that back. I saw one, and I was like, that's kind of cool little thing they're doing there. And then I never saw it again. Oh, I didn't even know if it was still running.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's cute. Professor McPherson and the head of the Lumberjanes camp both go missing in the woods, and they come together to team up and fight a mysterious threat of people in robes wearing animal skulls on their heads.
So they even try to explain this, or is this just we're just pretending they both exist in the same plane of existence?
This is a side story where we pretend that they are all in the same world.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
No falling through magic portals or anything like that?
It's just
perfect.
It's just Gotham Academy happens to be like a couple miles away from the woods where the Lumberjanes hang out.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So this is through Boom. So it almost reads more like an introduction to the Gotham Academy kids instead of the other way around.
Okay.
And seeing as how I already know about them, I was hoping to learn more about the Lumberjanes, and I didn't really.
No.
So it's like I came here. It's like, okay, I recognize these characters from the trades, and
is
like
Lumberjanes selling better than Gotham Academy? I know Gotham Academy's got a niche audience, but it's not like setting the world on fire.
If they aren't outselling Gotham Academy, at the very least, the Lumberjanes fan base is much more fervent. About it.
So it would make more sense to pitch it the opposite direction.
Exactly. So. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I read the first issue of Lumberjanes, and I did not find it very substantial. It may just be one. It may
you
just
read
be
one issue.
I read one issue. It's one of those things that I'm always saying. Like, I'll go back and I'll give that another try because I loved Noelle Stevenson, one of the creators. I know she's not on it anymore, but she wrote a webcomic that I really like called Nimona.
Okay,
it got released as a graphic novel recently. So I was like, I want to give it another shot, but I'm also always reading this stuff, and then there's the Marvel things that my son likes, and all these other things.
Well, this would have been a nice gateway back in, and I'm sure you were hoping this was going to be. I was hoping
to be a little bit more, but like there are a few names mentioned, and like we know the one character is the Pungeon Master. It's like, ooh, and she was saying some good puns. I'm like, oh, this character seems right up my alley. So but Maps and the little girl on their team, they like are immediate best friends. Like, hey, that's fun. But, the art is very good, and it's a few months till second semester, so
it's a filler for you.
I will certainly continue to read this for more Maps and Colton hijinks,
Yeah,
so.
Exactly, and we'll
like
pop back in.
They even joke about, it's like, they steal another one of their teachers' cars. It's like, Colton, are you going to steal the entire staff's car before the end of this year? It's like, probably,
Likely.
Yep.
I just want to, we'll check back in later. I just wanted to at least acknowledge its existence because we are big fans of Gotham Academy, and it deserves a larger market share. And I think that's a good branding mix as far as the Lumberjanes,
very much so,
and Gotham Academy. I think there's a very common audience that might appreciate that.
Yeah, if they weren't aware of Gotham Academy, they should be. So.
Yes. See, we have fun characters too, everybody.
Yeah.
Look. So fun characters, Brian.
Scooby Apocalypse.
What are you thinking here? Let's set this
all right.
up.
Well,
Your Wacky Raceland review caught some people unaware.
Yes.
Let's just say you're not known for your profanities.
Yeah.
And
that's why you got to save it up for when it's really important. I felt that was the time to finally let that drop.
This deserves it. I'm really confused.
Yeah. All right.
So, what does Scooby Apocalypse rank on the Brian Reaction-O-meter?
Well, see, here's the thing. I hate Scooby-Doo. It was that first thing where even as a child, I'm like, this is the same exact.
Even the Vincent Price ones? The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo?
I like the dumb ones where like the Harlem Globetrotters or Phyllis Diller would show up. Like
Don Knotts, yeah, we got this one.
Yeah. Oh, you guys,
Mr. Chicken, come on. Yeah, really kind of aiming my jokes at a very specific age group here. Right?
Yeah, so like I said, it was like that and Home Improvement, where it's two things where it's like even as a child, I'm like, I feel like I'm being talked down to because this is the same exact thing every episode. I refuse to be a part of this. Then we get this Scooby Apocalypse. It's the Justice League 3000. It is the creative team. It's Giffen DeMatteis and Howard Porter. Mm-hmm. It's almost the Justice League 3000 story with the numbers filed off.
Yeah.
The initial thing, because there's a mysterious numbered group of villains, and they're all very snarky with each other. Every now and then they say something to hit a nostalgia button. But in this version, it is Fred and Daphne are deep cable paranormal investigators walking around with their, GoPros on night vision mode.
I found a cold spot.
Velma is part of a shadowy government science trust that is breeding cyber army attack dogs.
As you do.
Of which Scooby-Doo is a failed reject from because he's too nice. And Shaggy is his dog whisperer. The science trust accidentally infects Bonnaroo with a nanite plague, and the titular apocalypse begins.
Yep. You are aware that these are all connected, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they've all come together at this happening, and...
No. All of these Hanna-Barbera books.
Oh, they are supposed to be connected.
This is the apocalypse that sends it into Wacky Raceland.
Really?
Yes. These are all connected. These are all just different points of the timeline.
That's like literally playing off that whole thing. It's like Flintstones actually happens after the Jetsons. That's why they're aware of all these modern things, because there's an apocalypse, or it's maybe taking place at the same time, because you never see the Jetsons go below the cloud line. So it's actually Flintstone reality down there.
Ding, ding, ding. No, that's what they're doing with all these. They're all interconnected.
Kind of hilarious, actually.
Just at different points in the timeline.
Oh, yeah, there is a Flintstones one coming out, isn't there?
There's a Flintstones and then the Johnny Quest one as well. So there you go.
Which I'm loving the Johnny Quest one, but
yeah. As I said, when it comes out you'll get to save your words. Save your words.
Save my words. Like people don't know I love a Parker Shaner joint. You know?
Yeah, I know, but still, save your words. But no, I think it's an interesting idea. I still like Wacky Raceland. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Scooby Apocalypse didn't really speak to me that much. We'll see where it goes, but unless they start running through doors and then sticking their heads out.
You're right. They haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
There's a lot more murder than I remember in Scooby-Doo.
Or if they start getting special guests, Don Knotts and Vincent Price and the Harlem Globetrotters just show up and oh man, Harlem Globetrotters.
Someone that's famous from the 70s is here. Velma's going to talk about how much she loves your comedy work.
Bob Hope, what are you doing here? No, if they take that angle and just tongue in cheek, obviously I will laugh. Or if they just pick the current day equivalents of people like that, which I don't know if I would take that as an insult or a praise. If you're like, yeah, you're the Don Knotts of our day and time.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. I think. Go make my Mr. Chicken movie again. No, I'm curious to see where it goes, but I'm in the same boat as you. I was never a Scooby-Doo fan.
Yeah.
Ever, except for the Vincent Price era. And that's about it. Because it had a finite storyline. We were telling the story of the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. There's 13
episodes,
yeah. And that's what we're doing here, and that's how we're doing this. And I was like, okay, you have a story to tell. Tell your story. The rest of the time, it's just them running through doors with jangly 60s, 70s music because they're just like being chased.
You ever wonder why Scooby-Doo and Shaggy were always eating all those snacks? They had the munchies.
No, I didn't. I never even
never wondered about that at all.
No.
Every single comedian I've ever seen has asked me if I ever noticed that.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, maybe I should watch more comedy shows because I must have missed out on that entirely.
Yep. I'm actually that one stand-up show we went to. I'm amazed that guy didn't drop into that as he was bursting into flames.
Oh yeah, I felt bad about that one.
Yeah,
Sean was a little drunk for that one. Sean did the one thing he hates doing all the time, and that's heckling a stand-up comedian.
Yeah. Well, he was heckling you too, so
I know, but it was
he started it. To be fair,
I know, but still, that's very rude of me, and I hate when I do that.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's all the books we have for this. I think we'll do some more next week.
Maybe.
I think so.
Sounds like a plan.
But a reminder to you guys, if you like any of this stuff, if any of it sounds interesting, the only way it will continue is if you buy these books. If you don't buy them, they don't make them, and they go away. They go away very quickly. I understand you're like, well, I'll just give it the first arc and see how, wait till the trade comes out and see what, sometimes that first trade obviously has some importance, but if you don't buy it in like the first 2 weeks of it coming out, likely it's already canceled by then. So it is a very cutthroat market. It sucks, but that's the way it is. It's almost a reverse Kickstarter type thing where if you don't buy it, it goes away very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So, rather than them asking for the money up front, you actually have to support it as it's released. So that is my guilt trip for the week. Just make sure you buy what you like. Don't buy everything. Don't feel like you're single-handedly responsible for saving the comics industry. Just buy what you like. That's it. Next week, we got more Rebirthio stuff. It should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Do you have anything before we take off, though?
Well, you can still, as always, purchase my children's book about dinosaurs, the Dinosaur 8 Comets. If you want your child to be unnecessarily attached to a children's book about dinosaurs, just like Barry Allen on his TV show, you can contact me via Facebook or Tumblr.
What about Dino Saucers? Are they in there? Or is that the second one? Is the second one going to be...
no spoilers, but you know.
As a reminder, though, you can't find us anywhere online at DCR Podcast.
When I finally get to the Velociraptor who knew too much, there is a UFO that goes by in the background.
Does he believe?
I don't know.
He wants to believe. I can tell you that much. Velociraptor Mulder really wants to believe. As always, though, everyone enjoy your books, enjoy your week, enjoy your lives, and we're going to
Happy Father's Day. Go Cavs.
Yeah, go Cavs. I forgot. Cleveland. Woo!
Hopefully we'll have a bad case of LeBronchitis next week.
That will be rough if this airs and we lose.
Oh my god.
Honestly,
it'll be just like living in Cleveland the past 35 years of my life.
So let's go, everybody.
Yep.
Talk to you then. Bye.